Okay, quick question for you. Do you know what one of the world's absolute biggest automakers has in common with a textile mill? I know. It sounds like a total trick question, right? Or maybe the setup to a weird joke. But the answer actually holds the secret to one of the most fascinating corporate histories out there. When we think of massive, globally dominant car companies, we usually picture, giant steel mills, endless assembly lines, and decades of gasoline-powered heritage. We definitely do not picture thread, fabric, and weaving. But to truly understand this powerhouse today, we actually have to look back at a very different kind of machinery.
Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to our latest explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to be your guide today because we are looking at the rapid, high-energy, and frankly, completely unlikely evolution of Toyota. We're going to trace their incredible journey from weaving thread on automatic looms all the way to manufacturing absolute legends of the road. Let's explore a true masterclass in corporate adaptability and vision.
Section 1. From Looms to Cars, a surprising start.
Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is the stark contrast. We start with the father's loom company, and I want to emphasize, this wasn't some struggling mom-and-pop shop. It was a highly successful, booming textile business. Yet, in 1937, his son, Kiichiro Toyota, took this massive, calculated leap of faith to spin off an automotive division. Just imagine the dynamic there. Walking away from the safety of a thriving family business to try and build complex motor vehicles in the late 1930s? Talk about a risk.
But there's a really fascinating detail hidden in the timeline here. The date for the Model AA, which was their very first passenger car, is 1936. Notice a little discrepancy there? This groundbreaking car was actually created a full year before the automotive division officially spun off in 1937. It just goes to show the sheer drive, the quiet engineering, and all the prototyping that was happening in the background while those textile looms were still running at full capacity. I mean, they literally had a working car before they even had an official separate car company.
Section 2. The Global Expansion. Building a Legend.
Let's see how this builds, because the momentum really compounds over the decades. We start with that 1936 Model AA and the 1937 spin-off. But by the time we hit the 1950s and 60s, Toyota enters this massive era of global expansion. Then, accelerating right into the 1980s and 90s, they start innovating entirely new classes of vehicles, which culminates today in them being a definitive alternative energy leader. It's just a relentless, unbroken chronology of innovation. Let's zoom in on that critical middle period for a second. The 1950s and 60s absolutely fueled their global explosion, and honestly, it came down to one word: Corolla. The launch of the Corolla wasn't just a successful product release, it was a total watershed moment for the whole industry. It went on to become one of the best-selling cars in human history. This was the exact vehicle that put them permanently on the map globally. It proved, definitively, that a spun-off loom company could absolutely dominate the world stage.
Section 3. Luxury and efficiency. Dual triumphs. So moving into the 1980s and 90s, we see two distinct monumental breakthroughs. First, the birth of the Lexus luxury brand. This proved they could engineer vehicles to go toe-to-toe with the world's most prestigious automakers. But then, right alongside that, they launched the revolutionary Prius hybrid. Their unique, almost paradoxical ability to pioneer premium luxury on one side and ultra-efficient, world-changing hybrid tech on the other, and to do both brilliantly during the exact same era, it's just truly astounding.
Now, if you're a real gearhead, you might be wondering where the granular technical specs are today. The horsepower numbers, the exact torque metrics, or the chassis details of these legendary models. Well, here's a little secret. AI tools like NotebookLM actually need specific, highly technical documents to run fast research for those precise timelines and specs. So, since we're focusing on the high-level legend today, we're looking at adaptability over specs. Because honestly, understanding their overarching philosophy of constant evolution tells us way more about their success than a single-engine blueprint ever could.
Section 4. The Future of Driving Beyond Gasoline.
Which brings us to their current global strategy. And this brilliantly illustrates their commitment to the future, built on three massive pillars of innovation: hydrogen, electric, and hybrid technology. They are a global leader in all three. What I really love about this is that they aren't just placing a single rigid bet on one type of engine. They're staying incredibly adaptable, investing heavily across all major alternative energies. It's the exact same flexible, forward-thinking mindset that caused Kiichiro Toyota to look at his father's loom and somehow see the future of transportation.
Which brings us to our final thought. Just take a second to really consider this incredible narrative arc. From weaving textiles in a highly successful family mill, to engineering the best-selling car in history, to pioneering advanced hydrogen fuel cells today. The real question this journey leaves us with is, from weaving to hydrogen, what industry will Toyota disrupt next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.